It was a night like any other, or so Ravi thought. The rain poured heavily, blurring the windshield as he guided his old taxi through the empty streets. He was tired, ready to head home after a long shift. That's when he noticed the figure. Under a flickering streetlight stood a small child, soaked to the bone, with one hand raised to hail a cab. Ravi slowed, his instincts battling hesitation. A child, alone, at this hour? It didn't feel right. Against his better judgment, he rolled down the window slightly and called out, "Where are your parents? What are you doing out here in the rain?" The child stepped closer, their face half hidden under dripping hair, and pulled out a crumpled bill. "Can you take me somewhere?" "I have money," they said, their voice calm and strangely mature for their age. Ravi's heart raced. Questions swirled. Who is this child? Why are they alone? And where do they need to go? Something about the situation felt deeply unsettling, yet he couldn't bring himself to drive away. He unlocked the door and watched as the child climbed in. If you're captivated by stories like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay with us to uncover the life-changing twist that followed. Little did Ravi know, this decision would set in motion a series of events that would change his life forever. Ravi glanced at the child in the rearview mirror as the cab began to move. They sat silently, staring out at the rain-covered windows, their small hands clutching the seatbelt strap. Ravi cleared his throat, trying to ease the tension. "So, where to?" he asked, his voice steady despite the unease creeping into his chest. The child hesitated before replying, "The hospital." The word hung in the air like an unanswered question. "The hospital? Are you hurt? Is someone waiting for you there?" Ravi pressed, glancing back again, searching for clues. But the child only nodded and repeated, "The hospital." As they drove through the empty streets, Ravi couldn't help but notice how the child didn't fidget or speak, traits he'd expect from someone their age. They seemed older somehow, burdened by something unspoken. Ravi's mind raced. Were they running away? Was someone in trouble? Should I call the police? He decided against it for now. "All right, kid," Ravi muttered under his breath. "We'll get there." The rain intensified, pounding against the roof as the taxi wove through the city. Ravi tried to break the silence again. "What's your name?" The child hesitated, then softly said, "Aryan." Ravi nodded. "All right, Aryan. You have anyone waiting for you at the hospital?" For a moment, Aryan said nothing. Then, in a barely audible whisper, "My mom." The answer hit Ravi harder than he expected. There was a tremor in Aryan's voice, one that spoke of worry, fear, and urgency. Ravi tightened his grip on the steering wheel. "Don't worry, kid. We'll get there soon." But as they approached a traffic light, Ravi's heart sank. The intersection was flooded, water pooling so deeply that it seemed impassable. He slowed the car and glanced back. Aryan's eyes met his, filled with something Ravi couldn't quite place. Was it fear or something else? "We might need to take a longer route," Ravi said, trying to sound reassuring. But Aryan's response surprised him. "No," the child said firmly, pointing toward the waterlogged road. "We have to go this way." Ravi's gut twisted. What was so urgent that they had to risk driving through this? Against his better judgment, he nodded. "All right. Hold on." As the car pushed cautiously through the water, Ravi felt his heart pound. The child didn't flinch, their gaze locked on the road ahead, as if guiding him towards something only they could see. What lay at the end of this journey? Ravi couldn't help but wonder. As the taxi emerged from the flooded street, Ravi let out a sigh of relief. The engine sputtered but held strong, and the hospital's faint glow appeared in the distance. He glanced back at Aryan, who hadn't moved or spoken since insisting on taking the flooded route. Pulling up to the hospital's entrance, Ravi turned to the child. "Here we are. You'll be all right, kid," he said, hoping to elicit a reaction. Arian simply nodded, reached into their pocket, and handed him a damp, crumpled bill. Ravi frowned. It wasn't just the condition of the money, it was the denomination. The bill was unusually large, far beyond what the fare would have cost. "Hey, this is too much," he began, but Arian was already stepping out of the car, their small frame disappearing into the hospital's automatic doors. Something about the encounter didn't sit right with Ravi. He hesitated for a moment, then grabbed the bill and his keys, deciding to follow the child inside. Inside, the fluorescent lights of the hospital buzzed faintly. Ravi spotted Arian speaking to a nurse at the reception desk. The nurse's expression shifted from confusion to shock as the child handed her something, a small envelope. Ravi couldn't hear the exchange, but he noticed the nurse glancing toward him briefly before hurrying off. Moments later, the nurse returned, accompanied by a doctor. They spoke to Arian quietly, and then the doctor walked over to Ravi. "Excuse me, sir," the doctor said, his tone professional but curious. "Are you with that child?" Ravi shook his head. "No, I just gave him a ride." "What's going on?" The doctor hesitated, then said, "That child." "Arian, you said?" "He handed us this envelope and insisted we give it to you." Ravi blinked in confusion as the doctor handed him the envelope. Inside was a handwritten note, damp but legible. End quote, "Thank you for taking me to my mom. This money is for you. Please don't refuse it, it's the last thing I can give. I hope it helps you as much as you've helped me." End quote. Ravi's hands trembled as he read the note. What do you mean, the last thing?" he stammered, his heart pounding. The doctor's face softened. "The child's mother was brought here earlier tonight, critically ill. Arian's been by her side all day. We didn't even know he'd left the hospital." Ravi's breath caught. "Where is he now?" The doctor gestured toward a nearby hallway. "He went to her room. You're welcome to check on them if you'd like." Compelled by a force he couldn't explain, Ravi followed the direction the doctor pointed, clutching the envelope tightly. As he approached the room, he hesitated at the doorway. Inside, he saw Arian sitting beside a frail woman, her hand resting lightly in his. Her eyes fluttered open briefly, meeting Arian's with a weak but tender smile. Ravi's chest tightened. He didn't step inside. Instead, he stood silently for a moment, letting the scene etch itself into his memory. He turned back, feeling an overwhelming mix of gratitude and sadness. That ride had felt unusual from the start, but now, Ravi understood its true weight. This wasn't just a fare, it was a reminder of life's fleeting moments and the profound impact of small kindnesses. Ravi drove home that night in silence, the damp envelope still resting on the passenger seat. The rain had subsided, leaving the streets quiet and eerily reflective. The events at the hospital replayed in his mind like a vivid dream he couldn't shake. When he finally parked in front of his modest apartment, Ravi sat for a moment, staring at the crumpled bill Arian had given him. It wasn't just money anymore, it was a symbol of something far greater. This small child, carrying a weight far beyond their years, had shown more strength and selflessness than many adults Ravi had encountered. He took the bill and the note inside, setting them on his kitchen table. As he stared at Arian's handwritten words, he felt a pang of guilt. That night hadn't just been about helping Arian, it had changed something in Ravi himself. It was as if Arian's quiet courage had unlocked a part of his own heart he hadn't known was closed. In the days that followed, Ravi found himself thinking more about the people he encountered in his daily life. Every passenger, he realized, was carrying a story, some joyous, others heavy with sorrow. The hurried exchanges of small talk or silent rides no longer felt insignificant. He started asking more questions, offering a kind word where he could. He also began setting aside a portion of his earnings to help others in need. Inspired by Arian's unwavering determination to support his mother, Ravi sought out ways to give back, whether it was donating to local charities or simply paying for a stranger's meal. These small acts of kindness felt like a way to honor the lessons Arian had taught him. Months later, Ravi found himself driving past the hospital again. On a whim, he stopped and walked inside, hoping for news about Arian and his mother. At the reception desk, he inquired hesitantly, "There was a child named Arian who came here a while back with his mother. Do you know if they're all right?" The nurse's face lit up with recognition. "Oh, yes. Arian and his mother are doing well. She recovered, and they left the hospital a few weeks ago. It's remarkable, he stayed by her side the whole time, such a brave little boy." Ravi felt a wave of relief wash over him. "Do you know where they are now?" The nurse shook her head. "I'm afraid I don't, but they mentioned wanting to thank you someday. Arian spoke about you often." Ravi left the hospital feeling lighter. He didn't need to see Arian again to understand the impact the child had left on him. Arian's strength, love, and selflessness had reminded Ravi of life's most important lesson: even the smallest acts of kindness can ripple outward in ways we may never fully understand. Driving away, Ravi looked at the empty seat beside him and smiled. The world felt a little brighter, and he knew he had Arian to thank for that. Ravi's story reminds us that life often presents opportunities to connect and make a difference in unexpected ways. A simple choice, to stop, to listen, to help, can lead to profound and life-changing outcomes. That rainy night wasn't just about giving Arian a ride, it was about compassion, courage, and the invisible threads that connect us all. Through Arian's quiet determination to care for his mother, Ravi rediscovered a sense of purpose and humanity in his everyday life. It's a lesson we can all carry: small acts of kindness, no matter how insignificant they may seem, can create ripples far beyond what we can see. As you go about your day, remember Ravi's journey. Look for the moments where you can make a difference, however small, and know that those moments can change lives, including your own. If this story inspired you, don't let it end here. Hit the like button, share this video with someone who needs a little hope today, and subscribe for more stories that remind us of the beauty and strength in humanity. Together, we can create our own ripple effects of kindness and connection. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.